And our first speaker this afternoon comes to us from the city of Moscow. And he's going to talk about how the city government there is dealing with all these threats and maybe even trying to be proactive in dealing with cyberspace security. So please give a warm welcome to Mr. Andrey Belozerov. There you go.
Thank you very much. 1, 2, 3. Hello, everybody. My name is Andrey Belozerov. I'm a deputy CIO of the Moscow government. Please feel free to relax in after-lunch euphoria. Because not so many persons here now, but anyway, I think and I hope that the stuff we are talking on will be interesting for you. So I would like to talk a little bit about cities as smart cities, as a drivers of digitalization, and I would like to talk a little bit about what key drivers for cities are now on the market and how can we use it for making the lives of our citizens better. So, according to Pricewaterhouse report, the strategic IT management model in cities usually includes IT strategy, includes Department of IT, which is centralizing the IT function, which is aligning the IT strategy to a city strategy, and customer relations, sourcing, and so on and so forth. All those questions must be taken into consideration in when you do with IT projects. In Moscow, the IT department is responsible for creating and operating on the information systems, data centers, networks, internet to schools, to kindergartens, and so on, and so forth. So if to look to a little bit to IT budgets in cities, we see that, for example, of course, New York is the leader in the world because a huge amount of investments are invested by New York in the IT. Here in Germany, Berlin is one of the leaders, and they pay a lot of attention to digitalization and to investment to IT in each city. So. What we see, if to calculate those figures into figures per inhabitant, we see then each city invests year by year, invest from $35 to $85 per inhabitant. So huge amount of investments every year for the market, for digitalization and for creating new systems and new services for the cities. If you talk about Moscow, you can see on the diagram the proportion of our spendings in different spheres. We pay a lot of attention to IT infrastructure, of course, our data centers, our cybersecurity, and so on. We pay a lot of attention to education. We have more than 600 schools in Moscow, and we're now planning to invest more than $200 million in next 3 years to these schools, to create a Wi-Fi in every teaching class, to buy notebooks, personal notebooks for the teachers, to help them to teach our pupils, to buy school servers, and to make a personal data security system, to create and employ electronic diaries, electronic books, and so on. Another sphere of our investment is healthcare. We have approximately 500 municipal polyclinics in Moscow, and all of them are united by the cloud-based system in medicine. So we have electronic medical cards for our citizens. We have a patient flow system. Everybody can make an appointment to a doctor through a call center, through a mobile application, through a website, and find a good time for him or for her, where to go and when to go to the doctor. So healthcare is one of the largest spheres for us for investments. And the public services, probably one of the most important stuff for every city administration. 6 years ago, we created a web portal for public services, and for now, there are more than 200 public services are available in electronic form. We have more than 5 million users, so those citizens who receive public services in electronic form. We have about 10 mobile applications, electronic parking, mobile health, mobile education, mobile public services, and so on and so forth. And what we see that the the citizens, the traffic is moving from the web channel to a mobile channel, and we see more and more people are now using municipal mobile applications. But the most important thing probably that approximately the same sum is invested by IT industry to the city economics. For example, we have the largest CCTV project in Europe. We have more than 147,000 video cameras around the streets, which are looking to the city for the security and safety point of view, for controlling the city operations, the operations of city facilities, and so on. But we don't buy and didn't buy the cameras and the channels. We buy the service of providing video picture to our central storage. So we asked telecom operators to buy cameras, to create channels to the cameras, to make a security system for these channels and video cameras. And they invested in this infrastructure, they created this infrastructure, and we are one of the users of this infrastructure. We buy these pictures. But the network operators, they use these channels for providing services to other clients, for example, internet to homes, to apartments, and so on. So operators invested more than $450 million in a year to the city economics. So what does it mean? That means that, of course, the IT budgets in smart cities and in big cities are not so big according to the whole budgets. So often they are barely exceed 3 to 5% from the whole budget. If you see to the commercial corporation, for example, Volkswagen and other, Mercedes, they invest to IT much more than the city administration. But anyway, it is enough for the cities to be large buyers of IT technologies on the world, in the world probably. So what we see, the cities and smart cities by themselves are drivers for the digital economy and for digitalization of the world. So, and what are the key drivers for the smart cities now and in maybe 2, 3, 4 years? What we see for our IT strategy, we see some technologies which are now on the edge of the IT industry, and AI, IoT, AR, VR, big data, machine learning, computer vision, and so on and so forth. And now I would like to show you some examples we have in our city for using of those technologies. So how can we use and how the other cities could use those technologies. Start from IoT. We have now a project, we realized project for smart metering. More than 3,000 buildings, our schools and polyclinics, we installed the sensors which measures the communal resources, heating, hot water, cold water, and so on. So we see how many resources we use, and we can use it for electronic billing with communal resources suppliers. And of course, if something wrong in a tube in a school, we immediately see this by the sensor signal, and we send the emergency car to the school to repair the problem. And to the year 2020, we are planning that the smart metering system will be implemented for every flat or apartment in the city. Another example is about transport. We have 32,000 city vehicles, buses, trolley buses, vacuum cleaners, cars for removing garbage from the city streets, and so on. And they are equipped with a navigation sensor, with a fuel level sensor, and operation mode sensor. So we see the car is going in operational mode or just moving somewhere. And how can we use it? We have a lot of snow in winter. And we have a special regulation that, for example, if the snow starts, the main roads must be cleaned in 2 hours. The supplementary roads must be cleaned in 4 hours or 6 hours. So, and when the snow starts, we see through the system with navigation and operational mode sensors how fast are we cleaning the city. And if, for example, some contractor who is responsible for removing snow out of the streets is not on time, we will automatically send him a penalty message. So this is an automatic process too. And in next year, we are planning to equip our engineering staff, tube engineers, electricity engineers, by wearable devices or smartphones, and make some kind of Uberization. Like in Uber, when you see the car is coming, if something wrong in your flat with a tube and you call to the call center and please send me an engineer, you will see on the smartphone how far he is and 5 minutes, 4 minutes, and so on. So the idea to track in real time all the engineering stuff to see whether they're doing something good within assignments or whether they do not do nothing. Artificial intelligence, a very wide spectrum of technologies, of course, and we are now only trying to use this, but we see that the results are great. First one, we created an automated resources management system for emergency services. So, for example, if there is some kind of an accident in the city, fire or road accidents, with some crashes of the cars and so on, we receive this message by the phone from the citizens that there is a fire. The system will automatically understand in case of fire that it's necessary to send a fire machine. If there is, I don't know, something bad for the health of the people, we have to say send to them a medical machine. The system will find the closest vehicle which is relevant to this situation and send it to the place of the incident and calculating the optimal route using the traffic information and traffic jam to come in a more fast way. So implemented the system, we saw that so our emergency system works 20% faster. And this 20% probably, I hope, will save people's lives somewhere. Another example, we took 6,000 computer tomography pictures of lung, and we teach the neural network to see what is normal and what is abnormal on your picture. And for now, the result is not very good. It is 40 to 50%, but the target efficiency rate is 97%. If the project will be okay, we will have a technology which help doctors and patients understand whether it is normal on the tomography or not. And it will help us to create a system for early detection of cancer and other sickness of people. So this is a very this is lively important project for us. Of course, we are doing some AI implementation for the customer relationships. We have a quality control system in the call center. So AI hear the records of the calls and understand automatically whether the operator was doing the in protocol, handling this call, or out of the protocol. So if something wrong, the AI will say us that this operator doing something wrong. And you have to teach him or fire him, maybe. And from the right part of the slide, this is our new projects about chatbots. We now designing a new generation application for the city of Moscow. For now, all the applications are created in a traditional way. A lot of menu, a lot of buttons, a lot of checkboxes, radio buttons, and so on and so forth. But we are creating an application which will be working like a chatbot with one text string, and the people will be asking, how can I get my parking permission, how can I get my doctor appointment, and so on. And the chatbot from behind of the application will be answering and sending the right content to the right content and right services to the people. So it is about AI. Blockchain. Blockchain is a very fashionable, let's say it's so, word. And yesterday and tomorrow morning, some persons discussing the IT security were discussing and using the word blockchain. For now, there are no applications of blockchain in governmental services around the world. I've heard about some pilots, but there are no industrial implementations. So we are trying to be some kind of pioneers of using blockchain in our municipal management tasks. 3 years ago, we created an electronic voting system for the Moscow. This is not about political voting. This is about voting for municipal questions. For example, how should we call the new metro station? On how many trees should we grow in our parks and so on. And there are about 1.5 million people using this voting application. But as always and as everywhere, there are persons who don't believe the municipality and say, you know, you are increasing and increment the voices to have the necessary solution to the municipality. So they don't believe that the voting are truth. And we are now creating a blockchain which will be behind the voting system, and everybody could be able to download the control node software, install it to his or her computer or server, and automatically see that there is no problems inside the voting. So if this project is okay, I think we will have a more believable citizens in our city from one side, and we will be deploying this system and this approach to other different projects, like, for example, governmental buyings and purchasing of goods. And probably last but not the least is about augmented reality and virtual reality. In the year 2015, we created an electronic educational system for our schools with electronic diaries and electronic textbooks. And it's working now, and about 1 million users of this system, 800,000 plus pupils and 50,000 teachers. They use, they interact through electronic way. So pupils, they hate us, of course, because every parent receives the mark and bad mark automatically to smartphone. And it is not good for pupils, but anyway, it's working now. But we are now planning to realize some pilot projects and some series of lessons with AR and VR technology in chemistry and biology. And we are trying to understand what will be an effect from the educational point of view. If it is more interesting for pupils, and if the results will be better than if educate in traditional way, we will be deploying these technologies and installing into the whole educational process. So we will see the results probably in a very close future, how it works for with the children. So, in conclusion, what I would like to say, a smart city is a key driver, of course, for the digital economy, and all the technologies must be implemented to the city life in a correct way. And of course, security and safety and cybersecurity and safety is one of the key points today for every city. We use a lot of security and a lot of technologies. We are one of the biggest clients for Kaspersky Lab. We work with Checkpoint, with any of other devices and software and security. But we have a lot of DDoS attacks, approximately 1 attack per 3 days. So we have to see the statistics for the last year, 1 attack in 3 days by DDoS from different countries and different subnetworks. But anyway, we see that cybersecurity is a very important question. So I would like to say thank you very much. I'm a bit earlier, so probably I have a time for questions. If you have, please, welcome.
Yeah, we've got time. A couple of questions from the audience. Right here, this gentleman in the front. Do we have a microphone for the gentleman?
Thank you for the presentation. Just one question about privacy. Do you have anything about that?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I have three answers, or answer in three parts. First of all, I would like to say that there is a very strict regulation about personal data and privacy in Russia. We have special regulations that we cannot use the personal data without agreement of the person to use it, even if we are government. So we have to receive, in any interaction between government and person, we must ask him the permission to use his or her personal data. And of course, there is a regulation about security systems for personal, especially medical data. And we do it in 4 levels. First is data center, all the hardware and software, login of any activities of users, firewalls, antiviruses, and so on. Application architecture, all the authorization, authentication, single sign-on systems, all of them must be very, very secure. And of course, business process and business rules. So every employee of the city administration, in his paper, which describes his daily activities and responsibilities, he or she has special points how to work with personal data. So it is not only technical question, but also organizational one. So I hope that we are doing well. Of course, it's always can be better, but I think that the personal data in Moscow are secured in a good way.
Any other questions? I don't want to miss anyone. What about the acceptance among the residents in Moscow for this? I mean, is the demand strong for it? Because you said you had, what, 1.5 million residents. So what's the demand like?
You know, Moscow is 12 million people city, and if to take into consideration the suburbans, people who come for working and studies day by day, it's about 15 to 16 million people. And what we see, if not to calculate kids, so approximately 9 million people who are enough educated for working with internet and with IT. And the penetration of our services is about 5.5 million people, so much more than 50%. Of course, there are people who cannot afford by economically or by educationally, cannot afford to work with electronic services. Some of them, especially people with special religions and so on, they will never do in electronic way. But the experience of last 5 years show us that the demand is tremendous. You know, every year we have more and more generations who born and grew up in virtuality. I have a daughter, and she is 4 years old. And in 1 year, she was able to put the password for my iPhone to find the animations and to look at.
Right.
1 year and 1.5. She probably couldn't go by feet in a good way, but she used my iPhone. So, and the next 10, 12, 20 years, all of this generation will be enough old to work with that. So I think that this is the future, and it is necessary to be in future, to be in this regime, in this rhythm, and so on and so forth.
Where does the incentive come from? Is this something that the city government is pushing? Is this something that comes up from a higher level? Where does that come from, the impetus for this?
The answer is very complex. It's usually, of course, our mayor understands in a very clear way the purpose of IT, and he is a very, very good project sponsor for any IT project in the city. But the initiative often coming from the market, from system integrators, from vendors, often come from citizens, because we have a crowdsourcing portal in Moscow, and everybody can send us an idea and description of a project, and if the other people votes for that, we will realize this project. So probably it is equal part of the IT strategy.
Okay, very good. Okay, Andrey, I think we are done then. Any questions before we say goodbye? All right.
Thank you very much.
Andrey, thank you very much. Thank you. Give him a round of applause, everyone.